Got a few more parts in. So I've got a bottom bracket in for the crankset that I ordered. And we are going to put that in. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to clean out the bottom bracket, basically wipe it down. I have a bottom bracket tool, adjustable wrench for it, and let's get that sucker in. I could spray it out, but what I'm going to do is put a little grease in there. It'll also work as a cleaning agent. And then I'm just going to wipe it out with a rag. The grease helps to loosen stuff up. And I'm not looking for perfection. If that was the case, I'd be spraying it out and making it perfect, even chasing the threads. But with this type of bike, that side is definitely grimier. Yeah, with this type of bike, as long as I can clean the threads enough to get the bottom bracket threads in nice and clean, it'll be good by me. That actually made a pretty big improvement. I'm going to do this one more time. And that should be clean enough, and then I'll put some clean grease in there. That looks quite a bit better. Oh yeah, that looks good. You can see where it was a seamed tube. Sometimes they're not. All right, now I'll put some grease on the threads. I've also put some grease on the threads of the bottom bracket that I put down somewhere. Here we go. I like to make sure that it's on the wall of the bottom bracket thread cup and on the outside, because usually when your bike is creaking, it has to do with the shifting of your bottom bracket on the outside. So the big misconception is everybody greases the threads, which needs to be done, but a lot of times if you've got a creaky bottom bracket, you loosen it, put some grease there, retighten it, and it usually shuts everything up. I'm going to have to find a different bottom bracket tool. And something I noticed with this is there we go. And this bottom bracket tool doesn't fit well. I think the screw for the cable guide is too long and interfering with the cartridge. So I am going to take this off. I was going to leave it there, but I think it's interfering. That's what the cables would run on. And since it's going to be a single speed, I don't really need it. Alright, time to go find a different tool. This one doesn't fit in that nice. Get that screw. I don't tighten it all the way, I get it most of the way. And then when I put the other cup on, I put some grease inside here to help with any creaking that can go on. You don't have to go crazy, it just needs to be moistened. I do the same with the threads. And as you thread it in, the grease will travel through the threads. Yeah, the drive side is counterclockwise, and the non-drive side is clockwise. All right, let's go find the bottom bracket tool that fits better. With any luck, this one fits better. Much better. You always want to lock down the drive side first. And then lock down the non-drive side. Okay. And take my rag and wipe off any of the excess. And I'll give it another good yank, pressing on the tool so I can get a good grip. Okay. There we go. Now I can lock the side in. And when this one tightens against the bearings, or I should say the bearing case, it'll lock the whole system in up against the bottom bracket itself, the frame part of the bottom bracket. There we go. I'll do the same thing here. I'll hold the tool. That takes care of that. We'll call that a semi-smooth bottom bracket. For $9.99 on Amazon, I can't complain. Got my new set of Amazon $35 cranks. There's no name stamped on it. They're very nice for 35 bucks. I don't know if the camera will show it, but you could see where the casting isn't perfect, but for $35. They look like a decent forged crank. Yeah, we're going to press these on. First thing I'm going to do is take off the Allen heads that I have on here. I'm going to apply a little grease on the spindle itself. It helps to compress the crank onto a proper torque. Also, it builds a little grease behind and works like a grease seal back here to keep any water and grime out. Truth of the matter is, you don't need a ton of grease. A lot of people really cake that stuff on. To me, I moisten it not too much more than that. And I do the same to the other side. I'll also just wipe my finger, get a little on the threads on the inside. And even though the bolt has Loctite on it, I still put a little on the threads. Not a lot, just enough. Some people will apply some inside the square. I never find much of an issue. I'll be able to see if the bottom bracket width I got is going to work out, and it should. That was something about this crank that I couldn't find any info on it. I just knew that the price was right, and I might have to play with the bottom bracket width. I got lucky on that one. I ordered a 110 because I knew that 107s to 113s was one of the last standards of the square taper crank world. Because earlier to mid-90s, there was a lot of 120s, 118s, even up to 127 millimeter with bottom bracket spindles. And I figured since this was newer, I figured that my assumption would be right. If it wasn't, it was a $10 bottom bracket. So I knew I'd be okay. My little Allen wrench doesn't have the torque that my bigger one will, but this gives me the ability to spin it on quicker. Being such a cheap crankset, I'm not sure how much torque to put on. I'm just going to go to where I feel comfortable. I'm pretty sure if I go to where I stop, I'll squeeze right through the whole thing. But that's pretty tight. Being that this is going to be a single-speed city bike, I'm confident that these cranks will work out. Okay. That's definitely tight. All right, let me go find my chain line tool. I can also measure it, but I'm going to just use a more basic approach. This is a Park. It's basically a chain line checker. And how it works is I will, oh, there goes my tool. Basically, I'll press this over the top, come back here, and it'll show me where the chain line will end up. This tool is designed to be clamped around the rear sprocket and then slid forward, but I'm using it more of the other way around because I don't have the. So when the crank is spinning, that bar is where the chain line will be, and that's about where the freewheel will end up. So yeah, that should totally work. There's two ways to mount the chainring: on the outboard side of the tab or on the inside over here. And once I get the wheel on, I'll be able to know what to do. But looking where this ends up, I'm feeling pretty good about where it is. I don't think that I'm going to need to space it out, have a wider bottom bracket. I'm going to be using a BMX chain, so that gives you quite a few millimeters of adjustment either way, at least 2 or 3. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully in a week or two everything else comes in. Really what I'm waiting for now is handlebars. I need the hubs to build the wheels, and then I'll be up and running. Got some pedals to put on. They are ISSI, ISSI. They are flat on one side, clip on the other. I've been using these for a few years on one of my recumbents, and they're still amazingly smooth. I'm not even sure the brand is around anymore. Lately, I've been really liking the one-sided clip-in pedal. Just a few years ago, I would have bitched and moaned if anybody used them, but for how I'm living my life now, it's nice to be able to just go ride with a flat shoe, basically around town here, and then when I need performance miles, lock in. So what I'm going to do is put a little lubrication on the threads with some finish line grease. It's a very, very old tub of grease that I have. I was looking for a date on it. I'm curious as to how old it is. Putting some grease on the other threads for the other pedal. Now I'm figuring out what's right and left. This one must be right. Actually, this one must be left. No, they're stamped even better. I don't know if the camera's going to show it, but right there. I usually like to put pedal washers in, but I don't happen to have any close by. I'd have to go dig them up somewhere. But I don't plan on taking these off any day soon. And this one, let's see, it's an 8 or a 6, so it's an 8. So when you're putting pedals on, they always tighten towards the front of the bike and loosen towards the back. So the right side is a right tight, left loose. It's opposite on this. It would be left tight, right loose. So I'm going to use something with a little bit more leverage. There we go. Get it to where they stop, and then just try not to slip the Allen wrench off. There we go. That's definitely tight. Next, I put a little grease there. Let me get my little Allen wrench. And the left side is a left tight, counterclockwise tight. And boom, get my big Allen wrench, and then we're in a waiting period because the hubs that I ordered aren't going to be here for a while. Handlebar should be coming soon, so I'll be able to get the handlebar and the brakes, well, at least the brake cable set up. I know a lot of people take pedals on and off quite often to swap between bikes, and they don't really tighten them all that tight. Truth of the matter is, I don't think they need to be that tight, but something I do is I really lock them down. I haven't really stripped out a crank yet. I just feel better knowing they're connected. I'd have to say that for 35 bucks, Chinese made or not, they're actually very nice cranks, and the chainring alone at a bike shop is going to bring you 30 bucks. That's an aluminum chainring. For that type of price, you expect, a steel ring. And if it came with one, I wouldn't have been heartbroken. This is a budget build. Yeah, so I'm very happy. Bottom bracket seems smooth. Can't wait to get it running.